So we're gonna be starting with our podcast, and we're gonna be talking about episodes 12 and 13 from season 1 of Fruits Basket. So let's look at number 12. We start with this episode called "You Look Like You're Having Fun." So we start at the school. We see that we have our two newer Salma characters that we had met. That was Momiji and Haru, and they are starting in school as well as first years, because they're a year younger than the other main characters. One of the main things that we see here is like the way that they dress. They make like this, joke about it. Like this whole scene is just about like the way that they're dressed. They're just a little bit out of the school uniform with the rules.
The policies, yeah. The uniform rules.
Momiji's dressed in from the top up, like in the girls' uniform. That's what the girls use. And Haru is over there with like a lot of chains, and like half his shirt is like unbuttoned. So we see
his hair color. He has like white hair color.
Yeah. So we see that happening. We see that Kyo and Yuki and Toru are talking to them about that, and how Kyo is telling like Momiji that he shouldn't be dressed like that because he's a man.
Mm-hmm.
And Momiji's like, I look cute like this. And so, yeah, we see that. We also see, I didn't put a picture of them. We see the president come in, and we meet the president. And he is over here trying to put some order in what's happening and, tell him stuff about and breaking the dress code.
Mm-hmm.
So we see them just talk about it. Pretty much. It's just like a whole running joke in this scene. Anything you wanted to point out from it?
Well, for one, before that scene of the uniform, there was because Kyo and Toru, they're waiting for someone to come out, right? I think they're waiting for Momiji and...
Oh, yes, I forgot about this.
Yeah, so then she's over there waiting, minding her own business. And then there's two, boys that, I don't know, they're looking at her, but she's not paying attention. So then Kyo notices, and he goes in protective mode, and he goes closer to her. He bangs on the wall. I don't know how to describe it without you seeing it. But he goes towards her, and then kind of gets mad at her because he tells her that she needs to be more attentive when she's on her own. That if she ever gets kidnapped, it's gonna be her fault because she's not aware of her surroundings. So that was interesting. Was it just as a good friend he was being protected, or was he getting jealous and he doesn't even know it? Because he acted really mad.
Yeah, I think he was mad at the fact that what the boys were saying about her.
Mm-hmm.
How she seems like an easy target kind of thing. So I think that's something that was the reason why he was mad, and also at her. Mm-hmm. And I think this kind of goes back to the last episode where you see her just being some people will call it stupid. Said in the last episode with the story, but she's just, I don't know, she's really trusting of people. And it's something that he does say after that. He's like, yeah, you have to be more attentive. And then she goes into this attentive mode.
Yeah, kind of like a soldier.
Yeah. And he's like, well, not around me, though. It's okay if you're just, chill around me.
Mm-hmm.
Which just says, I do think that it's just a protective, thing that he has with her. But I think it would have been the same with Yuki. Do you think that Yuki would have done something similar? Or do you think it's just because it's Kyo? He did that way?
No, well, I think both of them are protective over her. Yeah. So maybe it would have been different, less on the mad side, that he got kind of angry. Well, not fully angry, but you know how he kind of is a little more intense in that sense. But yeah, maybe it would have been the same thing. It was then getting to the scene of the uniform. It was interesting to see how the school president or whatever, he got because he wasn't just he came hey, you're wearing the wrong uniform. It was more confrontational, really, what would be the word? I don't know, it was more confrontational, than just hey, the school policies, this and that. He I don't know if that was just they made it exaggerated just because of the how sometimes they exaggerate certain things, or the little movements, kind of when he said oh, you need to be more attentive, and then she went into this soldier pose. I don't know if that's part of just to get an effect, but that was one thing that Because I know, yes, you are like the president of the school, but he's the principal of the school. Like if he was the teacher, like if he was the adult coming at the students, like he was really, really
authoritative.
Mm-hmm. And then Haru, like, how he's the one who intervenes and kind of like his dark side comes out,
Yep.
which I wonder, like, is that something that he controls or he always just like something that gets triggered and then he goes into that?
It's something that gets triggered.
Because, yeah, he goes over there. And then another thing on that scene, it was like when Haru mentions to I don't know the name. Do you wrote the name of the guy that is supposed to be the president of the school?
It's with a T. I forgot his name.
Okay, well, that guy, you know how it mentions him like, well, if Yuki was wearing a girl's uniform, and then how it like the president, the school president, the student president or whatever, gets all like flustered, like he gets kind of like shy, like because he pictures it, like he imagines it.
Yeah. I mean, something with him is that, like, even from like the beginning of the scene, you see him like going towards Haru and Momiji and telling them all this stuff, and then he's like, "Hi, Yuki," and then he just goes back to this. It does show that he has some preferences with Yuki. A lot of people do, so it just shows like he is in that too. And yeah, Haru actually in this dark form, he really does. He brings out some really good points, and it's almost like he was paying attention the whole time, and he was like, oh, okay, he's really into Yuki. A lot of people that are into Yuki want to see him, in this light, so he kind of brings that point out. And I think that was really smart of him.
Yeah,
and also like they said, like, oh, and imagine Momiji when he grows up, like how he's gonna be looking. So right now it's fine, but let's look forward to what's gonna happen when he gets older, which I think, again, just a good point that he brings out.
And then the talk about his hair, Haru's hair, that is not natural, the white and the black. Because it does look like he dyed it like that, it's black over here.
It doesn't make sense that it's natural if it's one color and then one color, right?
Yeah. So then they go into the restroom, I guess, to show proof that that's the natural hair.
I like how they have this whole comedic scene at the beginning, not getting you ready at all for what's gonna happen after. But yeah, I just really like this scene because I think it's so funny. And yeah, like he's just like the way that Haru looks after he's done showing his proof, his evidence. He was just like so like smirky and like, I don't know, he's so funny. And then like Toru was like, wait, what did you show him though? Like, Toru and her pure heart.
I do, like, in that sense, identify with her, because that would have happened to me. Like, I wouldn't cut on like right away. It wouldn't have clicked right away. I needed to go to the bathroom to show the proof that that's his natural hair.
Yeah, honestly, when I was like looking at it, I'm like, I wonder if Magali got it. I did think about it. I'm like, but
not right away. But then, like, when Toru asked, like, oh, well, what did you show? What was the proof or whatever? And then I don't know what the answer was. That's when
he was like, oh, if you want to, I can go show you. Like, it's okay, we don't have to hug. So he was talking about something else now at that point. And then that's when, like, the guys just knock him out.
Yeah. So then when that little scene, like, oh, okay, now I get it.
And after that, we actually get Momiji saying, hey, guy, like, I actually have to tell Hyo and Yuki something. And then, Toru goes off because she respects that. Yeah. And then he's like, Akito's here. Not only Akito's there, also Shigeru's there, because he went to like help with their enrollment and stuff, or like the beginning. I don't know.
Which is like pretty interesting that it was Shigure and Akito, or whatever. Like, well, Akito probably just went because
he wanted to go. Yeah,
he wanted to go and see or whatever. But the Shigure, because Shigure is the cousin, so he's the one who went with them, like, to help with the enrollment or whatever you have to do for, Momiji and Haru. That it wasn't apparent.
Yeah, and we also see that with like when he went with Kyo, right? He also did that. So, and I don't know if he did it for Yuki too, but I can assume. So that shows a little bit more of like how much responsibility that let Shigure have.
Because can we go down again, like how far apart? I mean, I know Shigure is older,
yes,
than Momiji and Haru, but it's like, why the parents? Like, where are the parents?
They entrusted Shigure for a reason, and I don't know if it was the parents or it was Akito that did that. But at the end of the day, Akito is the one that makes the decisions, right?
Yeah.
could have been Akito saying, Shigure, you're gonna go through this. Or maybe the parents were like, we don't want to go. I don't know.
And is that like a cultural thing that it is accepted that now you, because like where I grew up, if you go anything school related or you parent, like I couldn't send my cousin even if my mom wanted to send my cousin unless that cousin had my legal custody over me.
Yeah, I think it's more about because it is a clan, things are different, and as long as like there's an adult
that is a family member.
Yeah, and especially if it's appointed by like the family head, it should be fine. I think that's why. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, Akito's also young, right?
Yeah, Akito's young. Yeah, they didn't say how old.
How old or how far apart?
But he is around his 20s, and then I will say like that's. I mean, he doesn't look like that far apart from Shigure.
Me, by the looks, I cannot tell who is who. Like, I mean, an
how
age.
Old they are.
Yeah, how old they are.
Yeah, anime does that too. But I think that Shigure, or you know what could happen too, is that at the beginning of the year when they were, or like before, like when they were just like putting their names in, how they put people that are like their emergency contact or like people that are in charge of the child, maybe they put Shigure there, and there's a reason why he is the one that's doing it. Like that's his like trusted title or his trusted job. So something that Akito probably, I will guess it was Akito, maybe it could have been the parents that just don't want to go to school.
Well, we know that Momiji's dad is
head of a company.
Yeah, so I mean, he probably is really busy. I don't know about the mom, or if there's a mom, because Momiji hasn't mentioned.
They haven't really mentioned many parents. No. So okay.
Haru, we don't even know.
Yeah, we don't know. So let's actually talk about what's happening next. So as Toru is walking back to class, I think that's what she's doing or something. She's walking. We see that she actually encounters Mr. Akito. Yuki also sees, like, I think they actually like meet. They're like, hi, like he presents himself. He introduces himself to her.
Yeah. When Akito she's walking and then they meet, she gets really nervous because like what she has seen from Akito is like this person that causes, yeah. But then he acts like really charming, introducing himself to her, like, hey, like, like a really sweet, nice person.
So it was like not what she was expecting for sure. And then we see that Yuki is actually like walking back. He did not like the news that Akito was there. And then he sees that Toru is with Akito. And we see him running towards over there. And I think like they just have like a small conversation, Toru and Akito and Yuki.
Yeah, they're just introducing. Like it's really cordial, like the conversation.
Yeah, and then Yuki gets there, and then he sees them talking, and you can see like he's super worried about this, and he's almost like in panic mode. It's like, what did you do to Toru? And Yuki's like, no, like I didn't do anything. We were just introducing ourselves, right? And like the way that he was saying it,
I just say hi.
Yeah, it was almost like a child was getting caught doing something. Like the way that he said it to me, I was like he was like, right, that's what happened. That's what happened, right? Like it was this really childish way of handling things instead of like a family head just being like, nope, we just did that. That's it. He was just like overcompensating a little bit. It was interesting for sure. And then see that
and that one, like I know, like so Momiji told Yuki and Kyo that he was there, and then that's when like kind of Yuki, when he started walking, and then he sees to the window like like that they are actually meeting, and then that's when he rushes towards them. So I was wondering why, like, what did Kyo do on that little moment? Like, why wasn't he? Because both of them know, like, how, I guess, Akito is, or, like, kind of worried about? Or was he even worried that he was there?
Well, we didn't really see Kyo. Like, he didn't seem happy about, like, the news. But they mainly focus on Yuki's reaction. So we didn't really see, like, Yuki went one way. We didn't see Kyo go the same way. We did not see Kyo, like, we didn't see Kyo until after Akito is leaving from the conversation with Yuki and Toru. We just saw Kyo on the window, and I don't know how long he had been there looking at them, but the way that he looked at Akito was not in a loving way.
Yeah.
So that tells you just a little bit about how he feels about Akito. And then Akito was just like, I don't know, like he just seemed like very
like hi, yeah.
Unbothered. Yeah, unbothered, unfazed about him.
Like, oh yeah, you're there.
Yeah.
But back
So
to when, like, Yuki is confronting Akito.
yes, this is really important. Yes.
Yes. So after, like, they're saying, like, oh, we were just saying hi. Then it's like there's a shift because then Akito turns the attention towards Yuki.
And the shift, this was a shift, like in his, like the way that he's portraying himself. He seems a
Mm-hmm.
little more menacing at that moment. He's just asking him like, "Hey, you didn't come to the New Year's. Like, what happened here? Like, when are you gonna go visit me?" Kind of thing. I remember something like that. It's been a week.
Yeah, he said. Well, he says like he asked why you didn't attend to the New Year celebration. Now that I'm being so generous, that he
Yeah.
makes a comment. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how can you do that now that I'm being so generous?
Yeah, so we really do see like a little bit more of what, like how angry that actually made
Yeah.
Akito.
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't actually see how he reacted to Yuki not getting there, and now we see a little bit of that.
I got my reaction because I wanted to see,
Yeah,
because they were making such a big deal on those episodes that,
yeah,
like, oh, how can you miss it? But we never got to see what was the reaction when Shigure show up to the celebration and Yuki didn't, or to the dinner or whatever. But when he does like that change on, like, asking him why, that's like his nice, friendly personality. How you mentioned that he shifts. And also Yuki, because Yuki at the beginning, like, he's confrontational, like, like, kind of like, what are you doing here? And then when that conversation happens, he kind of freezes, like he goes
yeah.
into fear.
Yeah, it was a total panic right there in Yuki's eyes, and
Mm-hmm.
you really see how afraid he is.
Yes.
Like without a doubt, like there's fear in that man, and it's not just fear of like you're scared of a spider and you run away. It is
Like paralyzing fear.
so yeah, it's so paralyzing to him. And then he's like, I think Akito mentioned something about like you should go visit. No, he at the end he's actually you should
No,
go
no.
visit.
Before that, he mentions a room because
Yeah,
he
I was
tells
gonna say
him,
that too,
like,
but yeah.
do I need to discipline you again? Do you something like he mentioned something like him getting, like, Yuki getting disciplined and the room, like a room.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to, because I wrote, like, he goes to, like, Yuki, I think, has a memory, like, kind of like a flashback of a room. And that's when, like, Toru notices, like, how, like, kind of, he said, like, how panicked Yuki is, how, like, and this time we see Toru defending or protecting.
Yeah, and this is
Yuki.
something that really stuck out to me because we really do see how she's non-confrontational. She tries her best to not, so for people around her not to be fighting, and for herself not to fight with anyone. The fact that she went and she straight up pushed Akito, the family head, the guy that could just be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take everything away from you right now. He could literally do that if he wanted to. She pushed them just in order to like get him away from Yuki and like protect him in a way. I think that was great from Toru. Like you could see how afraid she was too, and angry. Like I did see a lot of anger in her.
Yeah, because you could totally see how fearful or how much it was hurting him. It was hurting, like, Yuki. The simple words of, because even like the way he was saying it is like, because you, like, everybody gets disciplined. You get a timeout, and places that is allowed, you get a spanking. You get things taken away when you don't do something. But this one is like he just mentioned a room, and then you get like that little flashback, and you just see how it's increasing, like that fear of Yuki. So then so we see her pushing him, just saying like, oh, we'll be late for school.
So Akito's like, okay, fine, and you should go visit me soon. That's what he says.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks off.
That's another, like, not surprising, but because we did see, like, when Hattori was talking about, like, his love story, how he got, like, how Akito got, and the whole pushing someone and him getting hurt. So it was kind of like, because he's mad at, or he's like making Yuki know, like, okay, I'm upset because you didn't go, like, you're in trouble. And then this person just, like, pushes him, and he just reacted like, oh, okay, sorry, like, you guys can go, like, go visit me soon. Like, nothing happened. Like, he didn't look at Toru, like, in a certain way, like, oh, you pushed me, like, the way you kind of expect from him. He was just like, oh, yeah, sorry, like,
I wonder if it's because he was in public with them. Maybe that, they're in a school and then he really can't do as much out there. Or I wonder, because, the way that Akito was playing himself with Toru was really friendly and like, he was really trying to make a different impression on her. So I wonder if he was just playing along with that. Because yeah, like he could have done so much and he didn't. And especially the way that we see him react to other things with Hattori, for example. Yeah.
And I don't think that he has like been pushed that much. Like like he gets thrown and pushed.
Yeah. So yeah, he really did keep his cool, but I think this was different, almost like a power move of some sort, which I don't know. I mean, we didn't really get as much, but it was a really interesting scene for sure. And then after that, we see him looking at Kyo, and that's pretty much all we see with Kyo.
And I was wondering, like, had he just arrived? Because the way he was looking at him, it was like he was there for a while. Like, not a while, but he got to see maybe what happened. And I was just surprised that he stayed there, like, far away and not try to go meet, like, and see.
I would think it's because, well, it had to do with Yuki, right? And he doesn't really care about Yuki, or he doesn't want people to know that he even tries to care. So one thing, and second thing, the way that he was looking at Akito, I also think that if he doesn't like him like that, he's trying to avoid him too.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, I don't think he wants to go there. Especially, he is a family head, so I think to a point from what we've seen from everyone, there's a level of fear that everybody has with Akito. Like the fact that Momiji had to tell them, like, hey, Akito's here. There's a level of fear.
And even when he said, like, when Momiji went and told them, like, Akito's here, it wasn't like, oh, Akito's here. Like, because how he's like, all cheerful and all happy. He went like, Akito's here. Like, you guys know what that means.
Yeah, so I think that's why they're all being a little cautious. And also, like, I would think, what could he done? Maybe he could have made things worse too.
Yeah,
true. At the end of the day, Toru took care of it somehow, and so yeah. And then after that, we see that Yuki's trembling. Like, he's literally like shaking from that interaction, and Toru tries to make him feel better in a way. Tell him, hey, we should go play after school. Like, trying to get him out of that state of like fear. He was just like, he was like really taken aback from that. Like, what? And he's like, yeah, maybe we'll get like, Uo-chan, Hana-chan, and we can like play something after school. And yeah, so that's how that scene ends. So we see, I really like this scene because it really does tell you a little bit about Akito, and especially like some of like the possible fears that might come from his presence to like these characters. All right, so after we see that Shigure is talking to Hattori, he is over there at the main stage, in the inside, and he is talking to Hattori and kind of telling him like what happened on the ride back. So we're going back to the main state. With he was with Akito. Said that Akito called Toru ugly. In a way that he was just like retelling, he's like, yeah, she's ugly, and like I don't know, he just seemed really happy about what he had done at that point, and like you should have seen like, Yuki's still scared of me, like I told you, like they'll always be back or something like that.
And I think it has to do because he kind of like he said like he found Toru like to be ugly and stupid, so he doesn't have to worry about her. Because maybe like at the beginning it was like, because he seemed like he went to check like, is she something I need to worry about? Because I mean, he's the one who allowed her to. He could have done, like, if he was worried. Well, I wonder, like, if at the beginning when he got the news that okay, there's this outsider that found out that we turned into like our little secret, he didn't take that like that much importance to it. But then as he was seeing like like this kid's missed the celebration and all these things, that maybe he started to get worried, and then that's why he went on to check on them, like, or to, like, if it was on purpose that he wanted to go meet Toru, and now like he says like, oh yeah, no, I don't have to worry. So I wonder if he was planning, like, if to his eyes he found something else, like that she maybe was more of a danger to, I don't know what, like to having like maybe having that control over Yuki, that if he would have done something, if he would have ordered Hattori like take away the memories or whatever, or we need to let her out.
It's really interesting because we really don't know what they're plotting, what his whole purpose is. We don't really know what they're trying to do with her. But the point is that he was, like you said, he was worried about something. Yeah, like something about like the power over Yuki. That's pretty much what he's talking about. But we don't really know why he even like lets this happen in the first place, which we might find out later, right?
Yeah. And right now he's just happy because he's like, okay, I don't need to worry about her, and Yuki will come back to me.
All right. So the thing that actually I really, really wanted to touch on here was that we heard a little bit about what Yuki went through, because what he's talking about it. He says that, of course he will be afraid. Like a child that's been locked up in a room for that long would obviously have that fear. So that's a little bit of trauma. I really don't know how. A lot of trauma. He was locked up in a room. That's what we know. That's why he is afraid of this said room.
But we don't know like what else happened on that room.
Yeah, we don't know what else happened. We just know like they said he was like isolated, I think. So he was isolated in a room. We don't know for how long. We don't know since what time. But we did see like a scene of him like as an older, like almost like to the age that he is right now, like being like begging Shigure to take him with him. Right? And then maybe that's why he's with Shigure now. But we have no idea why he ended up in that room. For how long did he end up in that room?
Well, Akito didn't mention that, like, I guess that was how he will get disciplined. Yeah. But we don't know, like, okay, what will he have to do? We don't know, like, when he was little, like, what type of trouble he got that deserved for him to go into that place that scared him so much.
So, that's a lot of trauma. And I think it's so interesting that we see the way that Yuki masks, right? Because he does not seem like someone, like, the first episodes that we meet him, he does not seem like someone that had gone through that much. Like, yeah, like we see like he's like, I don't want to be in the Sama family and all this stuff, but some people are like that, they just don't like their family for some reason. But to the point that he's this fearful and like this much trauma was put upon him is just so interesting, the way that he's able to still like function. And it does really give you perspective on some people that have gone through so much and still are able to like act like nothing happened. Until like the actual something that really triggers them comes in. Yeah, so we see a little bit of trigger there. We've seen him trigger before with the Hatsuharu episode. Yeah, so it's something to keep in mind, and maybe we'll find out a little bit more about him at some point, and like what happened to him in that room, or how long he was there, and why he was there.
We just know that he got tortured there.
Yeah,
so when Shigure is talking to Hattori, like he mentions that like Akito tortured Yuki on that room or whatever.
I don't know what kind of torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Hattori, like, that's when he mentions that people cause pain, but there are others that take it away.
Yeah, and that's why it almost seems like, wait, she would have said that, right?
No, Hattori said that.
Said it. Okay, yes, yeah.
Hattori he said like, there's people, because he says that in response to Shigure telling him like, Akito tortured him in that room. So then Hattori mentions people cause pain, but there's others that take it away, and that gives you courage.
Yes. So
like that gives the people like.
I was just gonna mention that. Okay, so we are seeing that Akito is confident right now that Yuki will come back because of the fear he has. And what Hattori is saying is that, yeah, sure, like he gave him a lot of pain, but Toru in some way is giving him courage because she's able to mend that pain. So, do you think that Akito should be worried after all?
Well, if something that Akito didn't catch on, I didn't pay attention to that. Maybe because he hasn't seen them, like that much. But yes, it is, because if it's if their whole relationship, like Akito and Yuki, is based out of fear, like me having that fear, like me being able, like Akito being able to inflict pain or like a fear. That's how it controls you. So if that fear goes away, then why, like what else is there in that relationship? But again, it's like how much can you go away when he's the head of your family and then you are part of the Zodiac? Like, I mean, you're part of that closer group over there.
It's true. There's something that's always gonna be holding him there.
Yeah, like they're always gonna. It's not like he's not like an outsider. Like I feel like because he is part of the close knit connection, part of the ones that have that secret, that carry on that secret. How far can he go? Like going away from Kito.
We'll have to see. All right. So we have the ending, which is just Yuki. He's actually kind of talking about it a little bit, like, because they're playing a game. They're playing mathematician. it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's them. It's Yuki, Toru, Ocham, Hana-chan, Haru, Kyo, and Momiji.
Badminton. Yeah. Badminton. Something like that.
Yeah, that game. The little rackets. And like you see them like having this fun, like just spending that time together, which helps them, like maybe there's a little bit of that helping that mend that kind of pain. Something that Yuki's saying throughout this, he said that he always wanted, like he's talking about things that he always wanted to do. Like he's like I always wanted parents who hugged me,
parents that wouldn't leave.
Yeah, parents that wouldn't leave, a place to keep me going back to.
Yeah, he said like parents that wouldn't leave him, a home where everybody smiled.
Mm-hmm.
And then that one, he said a home he would want to come back to.
Yeah, so he always wanted that, and like he kind of is like almost saying like now he kind of has that in a way.
Yeah.
And so, but the only thing here is that these things that he's saying are pretty normal things that a lot of people get, and the fact that he does not even get like the basics.
Well, there you kind of see again, you kind of get that picture again of like, now you also understand, maybe makes a little bit more sense of like how much fear he had, like that previous scene where he got all paralyzed, because like not only he got tortured, but it was not only the trauma from being torture in that room, whatever the torture was, but it's also the trauma of like, my parents let me experience this pain, like leave. So then it's like, so he grew up, so it comes to question, like, is it because he's part of the Zodiac that maybe like those family members that get to be the ones that turn or have the Zodiac spirit or whatever, do they get like taken, like raised different, like separate, and that's why, like, but for them, like, it's like, oh, my parents left me, just like as a question, like, would that be the case, or is it just like his parents maybe were too busy to, like, we don't know what the parents do, like if they're also business owners or what they do. But yeah, it is so sad. You said like a home where everyone smiled. So what type of home he had? And a warm place. And that's a like cute moment. He's like, a warm place, and then he turns and looks at Toru.
Which, yeah, I mean, it is really, really sad to think about him growing up and not having that support group, not having a home, pretty much, in other words. I mean, he probably had a house, but not a home.
Yeah.
And being tortured. That's the background, and we really don't know for how long.
And so now we understand why he doesn't like to go back home.
Oh yeah, I would not want to go back either.
How in the previous episodes on the New Year's, like one of the things that Toru would tell them, like, you haven't been there in a while. Don't you want to see your parents? Well, no wonder he doesn't want to see his parents. Like, his home is not what, like you said, everyone else. Like, his home wasn't like what Toru had. Yeah, maybe she lived more modest compared to them that have a lot of money, or in that, like, the big and that huge state. We have seen it in the previous episode, how big it is. So they have all this money, yet Toru had a better experience on the home.
Yes. So yeah, and I think that's what matters at the end. Or, I mean, of course, like economic stability is a really big factor, and also just having a.
But it's not everything.
It's not everything. It is important, but there's other factors as well that add to it, and some of those were not there for him.
A lot of them.
Pretty much all of them except the money.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about Haru. Like, the last thing that was said, it was just Haru saying that he was worried about Yuki, because probably knows that his relationship with Kito is horrible, right?
I feel like everybody probably knows what everybody
probably is aware that there's something off there. And yeah, he said that he was worried about him, but now he seems fine, and he thinks
he's happy to see him fine, that he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine, and he thanks Toru for doing that. How do you think she's helping him?
Well, she's providing what he didn't have.
What exactly of the things that he mentioned is she providing? Or
a home.
Okay.
A home he wants to go back to, because that also happened in one of the scenes, like in one of the previous episodes, when I don't remember if it was the one where they go and get her from like Kyo and from her family's house.
The New Year's? Oh, okay. Oh, when she goes to her family?
They, like, when they say, okay, like, yeah, let's go back home. And the way he said, like, let's go back home. It's like, this is our home. He's kind of like creating that environment where like she's always happy. Yes, they fight with Hio all the time, but like she is giving him that warmth of that like a place that he wanted to go, like, and you can see like how important it was for him, or how much like he feels like that's actually his home where he feels safe, or he gets that happiness. Because so we just saw how fearful he is of Akito, like, or how Akito can cause like this much fear, yet on the New Year celebration he chose to go and be with Toru.
Yep, despite that.
Despite that, he probably was thinking, okay, I might be going back to that room, or because we didn't know, but you knew, like, because everybody was making like, you cannot miss it, like, you know, the special dinner, especially for Yuki, because he not only he needs to be like on the New Year celebration, that is a big deal in their family, but he's part of like an intimate dinner with Akito. So then it's like, and he chose not to, because he was gonna be in a place where like there's happiness, like he likes to be there.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go to episode 13. I don't have as many notes as I did for the other one, because there's a lot of just shenanigans happening in this episode, but we do get to meet someone. Episode 13 is called How Have You Been, My Brother? So we meet a sibling of one of our characters. So it starts off at a garden. Yuki and Toru are out there, and he gets hungry, so she's like, okay, I'm gonna go and get food ready. She sees some clothes on the ground, and then a snake goes up her body, and then Yuki, like, she screams. Yuki goes, checks on her, and then they see that it's a snake, and he does not like it. So after that, we get the intro, the theme song, and then we say that the snake is actually one of the somas, which is Ayame Soma, or Aya too.
Aya for short.
For short, yeah, or Ayame. And he has such a big personality. Like right away, he's like, the way that he talks is like he's announcing into the world he is a year of the snake. And he is also Yuki's.
He's my year.
Yeah, that's who you are, Riley. That's exactly who you are.
No.
Yeah,
well, I mean, I am that year, according to,
Yeah, it's funny. He's a very funny character. He loves to talk. He loves to tell things about himself. And he almost acts like this king. If Yuki's a prince, this guy is a king for sure. He's just like, he's kind of treating Toru like as a waitress or something, or a maid. He's like, when am I gonna get the tea? Go. Yeah. And then he actually gets to spend some time with Toru.
Yep.
We go to a restaurant and they kind of talk a little bit.
Well,
and right here,
we also know that he is best friends with Hattori and Shigure.
Yeah,
the little group.
Yeah, they're all the same age. So that's great.
Look at them.
Yeah. They're all the same age, and yeah. And
when he was, when he was like thinking, do you think it was like he didn't mean to come out rude when he was treating Toru like a maid?
I honestly don't think Ayame cares. Like
it wasn't on purpose, right? Because I got it, like it wasn't on purpose.
No, I think that's just his personality, and then
like he just assumed like, well, my cousins over here, or my people over here, yes, maybe they have maids over there back home, so this should be one of them.
Yeah, probably. Or maybe he probably knew who Toru was, but he just doesn't care. Like Ayame is just like this free spirit. That's the way that I like to think about it.
But it wasn't okay. So we agree that it wasn't on purpose.
I will say it's not on purpose. Not on purpose to like hurt her.
Yeah, like not like okay,
like, not in a menacing way.
Plan to make her. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, no. But he is. It just tells you about what he thinks of himself. I think more than anything. So yeah. So he talks about Yuki and how their relationship is strained. And you can see that like from the beginning, like that Yuki did not want him there. He wanted him to get out. He doesn't want to talk to him.
He wanted, when he was in his snake form, he wanted Shigure to kill it.
Yeah, like skin him and cook it or something. I don't know. So he talks about that he regrets
Wait, boy, it's a completely side note and opposite, like nothing to do with this. But it's like it brings to mind that yes, when they turn into an animal, they are at risk to die of dying.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if someone else found a yame, like as a snake, there on the road, it was like.
Yep, that's true. They are in danger, so it's better with someone that takes care of them. Oh yeah, and he turns with a cold, so
yeah,
that makes him even more vulnerable. All right, so back to over here. He talks about how he regrets not being there for Yuki, and we do see like this kind of flashback where see Ayame like probably like around their age or something. And Yuki as a kid like pulling for him, almost like asking him for help, and then Ayame just taking that hand away and being like nah and rejecting him pretty much.
Well he says that Akito is a sort, like he mentions like how Akito is a source of fear for everybody, but especially like more for Yuki than others. And then that's when when he's talking about like how Yuki was quarantined since birth because he was sick all the time.
He did say something about that, right?
Yeah, and then that's when he mentioned like, because he said like, well, kind of he's giving that reasoning of why he was maybe dismissive. So Yuki, like one, it was a 10-year difference, so that's a big gap. And then two, when like he didn't get the chance to bond with him because he was taken away. So then I was questioning like, was that the like we know he spent time in that room,
yes,
being punished, but then to his eyes, like to Ayame's eyes, he's saying he was quarantined since birth because he was sick. So was he not aware that maybe he was in that room being tortured?
I don't think that's it. I think like he's talking about, I mean, I don't know if Yuki was there, but they haven't said that Yuki was there since like in that room since birth, right? They didn't actually mention how long he's been there. So it could have been that he like, and we do know that he has those problems with his health. So it could have been like he was sick, like when he was really young, especially, and then as he went older, something happened and he went into that room. It could have been something like that, or maybe he's been in the room since the beginning of time, which was stuck. But we don't really know that.
I don't know. It was just like it will make sense. Like if to me, will make sense a little bit more. I know that whatever Akito says, that's what happens, but it will make sense a little bit more if like they were presented with the idea, oh, he's so sick that we have to quarantine him. You cannot see him. And that will give them the chance to, okay, he's in that room, versus he was in a room and nobody, like no one in his family wondered like, hey, why is he being kept on that room? Like no one defended him. Like, okay, yeah, I know it's not okay. So then,
well, we do see like this thing. Yuki has said that his parents in a way were just dismissive of him regardless. Like, so they probably knew to some extent where he was. They're his parents, they should know. Ayame, well, I think Ayame is just like the way that he is, he's just so concerned with himself and what's happening around him. And like the one thing that we do see with him and Yuki is Yuki asking for help in any way. Like even if it was just because he was sick, he could have been like, oh, do you need some cough syrup? I don't know. But for whatever reason, he's asking for help. Like he really didn't reject him. Even like if I was Yuki for sure, I would be so mad. I'll be like, I'll really hold that against you for not being there for me. One of the only times maybe that I asked for help, especially as a kid. Like that's really hurtful. Not only that his parents in a way are dismissive or have
the brother,
and also his brother, and then he was in this room isolated. Like it really does put like this mindset on him, like the people didn't want him. I would think, right? Well, we don't really know for sure. We really don't know like the timeline yet, so maybe we'll find out a little bit more about that. But yeah, so he's saying that he regrets it and he wants to amend their relationship. Dodo says that he probably still has a chance, right? And she tells a story about her mom and how nobody really knows how to be this person there for others, pretty much. Like she was saying about a parent specifically, but nobody really knows, and you kind of just have to learn, and that it still counts, like at whatever point you realize that. So that kind of gives him a little bit of hope. He pays for her food. He's like, okay, I'll pay for your food. I don't know. Ayame's so funny. He has a lot. Like, I feel like he's so much. But they go back home. Is there, like, I mean, there's a lot of shenanigans that happen. Like, there's like an episode that's just like, it's a lot of talking, a lot of different stories, and
well,
it's just...
when they leave the restaurant, like he sees why, like that little talk that Toru gives with the mom thing, that kind of gives him like, why is he doing well? Like, why is Yuki okay?
Yeah, she's really reassuring her and like tries to make sure that everybody feels okay, even when they mess up.
Yeah,
something that a lot of these characters need for sure. Because Ayame was so young when this happened. Like, though, I think he was like in middle school or something, or maybe high school. I don't know. I really don't know. But he was young. Imagine like a teenager. Like if
that's what Toru tells him. Like, you were young too. Because he's saying like, okay, I came to, because now he says that as you're getting older, you are able to see or understand better what you should have done in certain things of the past. And that's when she mentions like the story of the mom, that there's never too late. And then she also mentions that you were a child also, so we cannot expect from you to know, like, you need to be more there for your brother.
So at home, like, it's pretty much just Ayame telling them a bunch of stories, and also like he's overstaying, in other words, because people are just trying to kick him out the whole time, and he's not budging.
Well, like, it's just Kyo and Yuki, because Shigure doesn't seem to be bothered.
That's his bestie. Yeah, but still, like, there's people in that house that are like, you need to go. Especially the fact that Ayame slept over with Kyo. Oh my gosh, when he found him there in the morning, he's like, what? So yeah, but he's like, okay, then this night I'm gonna spend it with Toru, because me and Shigure can't be together. Oh gosh, like their friendship is so funny to me. Anyway, so we get a little more like stories about Ayame and when he was in high school and how he was
the president.
He was a president, and which was something that Yuki actually found interesting. He was actually captivated by his story.
Yeah, like, oh, he was, yeah.
Which turned out to be just a complete mess of a story.
Yeah.
It was not what we were expecting it. And we do see like a little bit, like a few comments here that Ayame made, that he was saying that he was a president and all, but he's like, Hattori would have been so much of a better president than me. So we do see that little admiration that he has for him, and later on they do say that as well. So yeah, there's a few stories that Ayame tells, and then finally, when they were at school, sorry, I didn't mention this, I didn't write it down, but they had gone to school before we get all these stories, and like I think Toru had mentioned, or somebody mentioned, that Ayame was at home and that Yuki was just kind of fed up with that, and Haru is like, okay, I'll take care of it. Haru actually calls Hattori, or tells Hattori about it, and Hattori goes over and saves the day. he's like everybody's been trying to kick him out, everything, and then like they're like telling Shigure, and Shigure's like, well, he doesn't listen to me either, he only listens to, and then Hattori comes in.
Yeah, he only listens to Hattori.
Yeah, and then Hattori's just like, Ayame, let's go, and then Ayame's like, okay, bye, see you guys. So we really do see the influence that Hattori has on Ayame. Anything else you wanted to mention from that?
Well, no, like he does make a comment of like that he thinks that Hattori is like Toru, like always trying hard for others, and because they're talking right when they're leaving, like Hattori and Ayame, like they're talking, and then that's when he tells him like, oh, I think you are like Toru, like you always try really hard for others, and then kind of Hattori like tells him, like kind of, because he like, his whole plan was to go and try to reconnect with his brother. Yeah. And the whole purpose of the story, like the story that he told, it was because when he mentioned, like, because they're seeing pictures, right? Shigure brings up pictures and shows them, like, oh, this is when we were little. Well, not little, but we were at school, like your guys' age. He was the president. So then you said, like, Yuki gets impressed, like, kind of like for a little bit. And Toru is like, that's your chance, kind of like, say something, you capture his attention. And then he comes up with this crazy story of, like the crazy story over there, that it wasn't what, they were pressing, like they were, like Toru was hoping for, because she even gets like, oh, like, because then Yuki doesn't get impressed no more. Like that little moment, that window of opportunity, goes away. So then he's saying, how it didn't work, that he came to like reconnect and be that brother and take care of him, but he has another person, was it Toru? And then Hattori just told him, like, understand Yuki's young, so he cannot do concessions yet. Like, he doesn't know how to forgive, maybe that's what he's saying. Like he's young. He doesn't understand that you didn't mean to not be there for him, or like to understand you better, or to try to see past whatever happened in the past and try to reconnect with you.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with like as much trauma as Yuki has gone through.
Mm-hmm.
Takes people with like it will be really good to know at this point like when they start to happen, because whatever, if it started to happen like at the beginning of his life, like really young, then that would stop like part of his development.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a part that learns how to like see through other people's perspectives in order to be able to forgive them. But we don't really know. Anyway, at the end of the episode, Yuki does say that he has some appreciation for his brother. So we do see like this small little glimmer of hope that maybe one day they will be able to amend their relationship. And then we get to the next episode, who Momiji is saying that's a secret. So we're gonna find out about a secret. Episode 14.
I forgot what part did Yuki give thanks to Haru for worrying about him?
At the end. It's also at the end.
It's also the end.
Yeah.
And again we see poor Toru not realizing what the story was about.
No. You know what? It was too much of a story. Like, I'm like, how is this even allowed? Okay, but yeah. And we just see appreciation for Haru. Haru is such a good character. I love Haru. He's always there for Yuki. To you. Okay. All right, and that's gonna be it for today. We're gonna be watching episode 14 and 15. Hopefully, if not, we're just gonna watch 14 and just discuss 14. We'll see how we do it. The main thing is 14 is coming, guys. Woo! See you next week.